What's going on, guys? Today's video is going to be top 10 most anticipated coasters on my summer 2023 trip. Now, there's a lot of coasters I'm looking forward to on this trip, and making a top 10 list was definitely not easy. Like, I'd say it's probably the single hardest list I've had to make since my updated top 20 last summer. And, especially my top 5 is super interchangeable, and honestly, I'm not going to say come up with, a random order, but can, really flip-flop, and it really wouldn't make a big difference. And 3 of these coasters I have actually been on because, I've been to Williamsburg and I've been to Dollywood, but not since 2014, 2018. Those 3 I'm kind of sports, ones I look forward to getting on. Again, the rest I, absolutely haven't been on. So, we're going to get started with some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions being Intimidator at Carowinds, Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood, and Dark Coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and for Bolton at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I'm looking forward to getting on all these again, don't get me wrong. Just not quite enough to make this list. We're going to start with number 10. Coming in at number 10, we got Griffin at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Now, I have been on this, but not since 2014. I actually remember being my favorite ride at the park. The first, the closest thing I've been on to this since was Valraven, and I remember it being, Valraven was significantly worse than this. Here's mostly why, because, here, you got a lot more hang time on the drop. Valraven, the restraints were so tight, I didn't get any, and I remember this being much smoother in Valraven. It even felt more intense, too. The inversions, remember, nothing special, but the first drop felt much more comfortable. The restraints felt much more comfortable. It felt more intense and smoother than Valraven, so. And the splashdown was pretty cool, so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting Griffin again. I remember it being my favorite ride in the park when I rode it in 2014. I do not think that'll be the case this time around, though. Because I'll have, another coaster that's much higher on the list. But, yeah, I remember Valraven, even with lower stages, kind of letting me down, so, yeah, I guess that kind of makes me even more excited to get back on this. So, number 9. Now, if you told me a year ago that this was going to be on this list, I wouldn't have believed you. Number 9 is Grizzly at King's Dominion. Now, this, brand new, fully retract, just reopened. I believe it was this past weekend, so I will definitely be able to get on when I go. And I'm hearing it's running great. And night rides on this actually look pretty sick. Based on, the POV stuff, it low-key reminds me of, Beast Night rides, the Beast Night ride I got on my trip last summer was probably the single most memorable moments I've ever had at any park. This is gonna top it. Probably not. That takes a lot, but this one also kind of goes in the woods. I could see this being, a fun ride at night. And I've heard it pull some pretty good laterals also. And yeah, I like a good intense wooden coaster like that, like this or Beast that, doesn't beat you up. So yeah, this one was kind of an odd one to be on the list, but yeah, there I have it, Grizzly. Number 8. Number 8, Splunderhead at Dollywood. Now, I remember riding this in 2018 and thinking it was nothing overly special, but I'm hearing this year it's running, better than ever. And, because I've ridden more GCIs since, I feel like, maybe I would appreciate this one a little bit more. Do I think it's going to be better than Mixed Timbers at Kings Island that road last year? Probably not. But I'm hearing that it's running better this year. So, now this one, this is one of the more forgettable ones from Dollywood. I don't remember I remember riding it, but I just don't remember the experience all that good. So, hopefully, I'll have a more of a clear memory of the experience this time. Honestly, my whole day was kind of a blur last time with, Lightning Rod and Mystery Mine not being open. So, I'm going to have a better one this time. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting on Thunderhead, seeing how it compares to, to Mixed Timbers and all that. So, yeah, that's number 8. Number 7. Number 7 is also from Dollywood, but this one I found a lot more memorable than Thunderhead, and this is Tennessee Tornado. Now, this I remember being, honestly, I think Magnum's my favorite arrow I've been on. Call me crazy in the comments, I don't care. But I remember this one being smooth, intense, and even kind of whippy. Like, of all the arrow loopers I've been on, this was by far my favorite. Like, I didn't know what to expect, but I genuinely loved it. And I believe Alan Schilke actually worked on this, RMC designer for those of you that don't know. But yeah, I remember this being my favorite ride die. What is it going to be now that we're riding Lightning Rod? I doubt it. But we're looking forward to, getting back on this again, seeing how it runs compared to how it did in 2018. 5 years later, we'll, I'll be riding some other arrow loopers in this trip that I can compare it to, but, this is, obviously going to be way in both of them. I'm not really overly excited for Anaconda or, actually, I'll be riding 3 other ones on this trip. Not really excited for Anaconda or Loch Ness or, what was the other one? Carolina Cyclone, I think, yeah. Something like that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting on Thunderhead again. Just to really see how it compares to, Thunderhead, oh my god. Tennessee Tornado, to see how it compares to the last time I rode it. Because I'm absolutely loving it then. We'll see what happens now. Number 6. Okay, now the rest of these I have not actually been on. Number 6 is Afterburn at Carowinds. Now, I'm hearing that this is like a top tier invert from everyone that's been on it, and it absolutely looks it based on the POVs I've seen. Like, for some people, this is like, better than Raptor. And I mean, Raptor was probably my favorite inverting BNM that I've ever been on. It was intense, it was whippy, which I absolutely loved, but it was smooth. And this I'm hearing is like very similar in that regard. And I've heard from, everyone I know that's been on it that, if you love Raptor, you're gonna love this too. So I believe it. I'm looking forward to this more than Intimidator, believe it or not. Yeah, I could see this being Raptor. I could, definitely see this as, the best invert I've been on. Or at least, in the top 2, for sure. But, yeah, this is probably my favorite, right now, my favorite, of the 2 inverts we ride during this trip, this and Alpengeist, this is definitely the one I'm looking forward to a lot more of the 2. Because I had, ridden Alpengeist in 2014, and I remember it just being, like, really, really shaky. We'll see what happens this time with that, but, yeah, I'm stoked for Afterburn. Number 5. Okay, now this is where making this list got really, really challenging, and this is where, it can be really interchangeable. Number 5 is Fury, 325 at Carowinds. Now, some of you might think I'm crazy for not having this higher, and I could totally see. I mean, this looks like a beast of a coaster. Like, that first drop looks absolutely incredible. It looks like it's like fall forever, and I'm really looking forward to getting. Really looking forward to getting. Looks like a nice long ride. I've heard it's intense, and can provide some great airtime and some really insane night rides. I've heard. I'm really stoked for that. And I'm even looking forward to getting footage of it, like going over like the park's entrance and stuff. Like Carowinds looks like it has like a really beautiful front entrance with this. I'm looking forward to getting footage of it. I'm looking forward to riding it even more. And I've heard quick operations, like the line moves fast, so I could probably, if the park's not too crowded, I'll probably even get a good marathon in on this. Definitely want to get some night rides for sure. But yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about it. Really looking forward to experiencing for myself. Number 4. Number 4 is Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. Now, this I've heard from a lot of people that have been on it as like a mini Steel Vengeance, which that alone makes me pumped to ride because Steel Vengeance is my number 1 coaster right now. It's kind of destroys everything I've been on, Toro included. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but don't care. But yeah, Twisted Timbers I've heard is absolutely incredible from what I've been on. I'm really looking forward to experiencing it for myself. I mean, it's based on the POVs. I mean, I don't really see how it could be better than Vengeance, but that's kind of one of those things I'm not going to know until I ride it, I think. Now, I mean, yeah, Steel Vengeance is like, top of the top for me, so could this beat it? Maybe. But, just hearing the fact that it's pretty much like a smaller Steel Vengeance, that alone just makes me pumped. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. I know a lot of these, what I haven't written, I'm kind of basing it based off of what other people have said. So I'm kind of doing my best. I'll be able to form much better opinions of these after I ride them. Like, I'll be doing my updated top 20 after this trip. I'm debating if I should wait till I get on Toro again to do it, because I'm not going to be riding Toro after this trip. I'm kind of spacing that. So, I gotta think about it. So, number 3. Number 3, we got Pantheon at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Now, this I could see being the best coaster at that park by far. I mean, I've heard the launch systems are absolutely insane. I heard you can get some really crazy hang time over the top hat and the spike. Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about this, and really looking forward to experiencing myself. Intamin is always nuts out of the park with coasters like this. At least that's what I've heard. I mean, I never got to ride Maverick, unfortunately, but this looks like a top 5 coaster without a doubt. Definitely, top 2 in Virginia at least. So, yeah, this has been, really on my bucket list ever since it opened last year, and yeah, this just under 2 months now, I finally get to ride it. Cannot wait. So, number 2. Now, number 2 and number 1 are probably the most interchangeable on the list. I'm honestly about equally stoked for both of these. Number 2, we got Lightning Rod at Dollywood. Now, I'm going to be really surprised this is not the best coaster at that park. However, it's kind of fallen off a bit, compared to how it was in, probably while it was open in 2018. I mean, I've heard that, they had to, I don't know what they did with it exactly, but they did have to modify the launch, which I heard made it not as intense. But nonetheless, I'm still really looking forward to riding this. That quad down looks absolutely insane. And, I mean, I've never been on, a launch, this is the only launch one coaster as far as I know. But I'm sure, that's a cool feeling. And I've heard that the airtime is pretty crazy on this, too. Probably not be able to get a night ride, unfortunately, because of the hours. I don't know if it's because of the hours, but I think it might be because, we're driving hour and a half north that night. But even if I don't, I mean, if I can get several good rides during the day, yeah, I'm satisfied. So, yeah, I think this could have potential to beat Vengeance. Probably that quad down alone might be this, of all the elements on all the coasters I'll be riding this trip, that quad down alone is probably what I'm most excited for. That thing looks absolutely freaking insane. So, yeah. Lightning Rod's number 2, now number 1. And number 1, we got Intimate Real 5 at King's Dominion. Now, most of you that know me, this is probably no surprise whatsoever. That first drop just looks insane, and I've heard that this is probably one of the most test coasters on the planet that's run on. I mean, those transitions look nasty in a good way. And I've heard that the gray out on this is pretty much unreal. Night rides, that's gonna be something. So, I think this easily looks like a top 3 coaster for me. Is it gonna beat Steel Vengeance? I don't know. I think it has potential. And this should definitely make up for me missing Maverick on my trip last year. But, yeah, this thing looks like a beast. I think it could easily be the best coaster on this trip. I think I can see myself having it as Superman and New England, of course. I can see myself having it ahead of Toro, Bam's Revenge. I think this could be a top 2 coaster for me after this trip. I really feel that in my gut. And sure, the restraints may not be the best, but if it's actually as intense as everyone says it is, then I can't wait to ride it. The only downside is I've heard it's not that marathonable because it's that intense. But I guess my tolerance level is pretty high, so we'll see what happens. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I know some of these, I kind of struggled, and I was kind of, the ones I haven't written, I was kind of just basing upon, what everyone else has said, which kind of isn't easy. But that's pretty much it for top 2 coasters on most, my top 10 most anticipated coasters on my trip. And yeah, pretty much. Peace out.